What's going on, everybody? Your host, Jamal Lewis. We're here from Buffalo Wingnuts with none other than Buffalo Joe Andressen. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing amazing. So what we have here today is the first episode of Wing Trail. This will be a series where we feature premier athletes and we have great conversation and just learn a little bit more about your life and what you have going on. We'll also be talking about Room 40, which we're in. Thank you again for Buffalo Wingnuts sponsoring this episode of Wing Trail. First and foremost, how are you?
I'm good. A little crazy week this week, and just getting back into it and getting ready for this week now. Which makes sense.
A 40-41 W over the Ravens, night game in the stadium, last year in the stadium. What was the vibe like for you personally?
The atmosphere is great coming out and everything like that, and it's a very up and down game, emotion-wise and play-wise and everything like that. And just with that ending and everything, I think it was a good way to, kick off the season with the last season at Highmark.
Amazing. So you're joining us from Room 40 here at Wingnuts in Buffalo this week. When you walk into this space, how does it make you feel to be able to do an interview here in the actual town of Buffalo?
Great. Wingnuts, been here before. It's great here, and just blessed to be close to home, and it's everything that I've dreamed of, and blessed for real.
Nice. What do you know about the Room 40 story, like the backstory? Do you know anything about it?
I don't know. I think I see stuff on social media. I'm not totally caught in with the vibe.
So I'll bring you up to speed if I can a little bit. We actually just got done watching the interview clip. Josh Allen and I want to say his name is Big Cat. I forget exactly what the podcast is that he was on, but he sat on the podcast and they talked about wings, and Josh basically referred to coming to Wingnuts to Room 40. He asked, What is Room 40? He said, a room for these wings in your mouth. Room for these nuts in your mouth. Excuse me. Sorry. So thus comes Room 40, and Room 40 is at this location of Wingnuts and at the other one, and it's basically going to be a space for people to be able to rent out and gather for different events. But I want to get into a couple of my questions, Joe. I'm a Buffalo guy myself. I play a little football. I'm not at the level of you, obviously. But who is Joe?
Ooh, that's you want the short answer or the long answer?
Whatever you got for us.
I don't even know if I can really answer that. I guess you might have to ask people in my life that have been around. But I try to be someone that's high in virtue, high in character. That's something that's important to me. My faith's very important to me, and that's just kind of how I try and live my life. Kind of growing up and everything, my parents instilled hard work into me and my brother, and kind of no matter what we did, whether it's football or even school, stuff like that, we're gonna have to work for what we want. And football is something that I gravitated towards when I was little, sports in general really, and kind of put my full effort into it. And a big part of my life has revolved around football and trying to be the best football player I can be. And I think these last couple of years kind of been a little crazy for me, and I'm just happy how it's worked out, and still trying to exceed my expectations, other people's expectations, and just trying to be the best possible version of me.
Absolutely. So that is Joe for those wondering and asking. Why football?
So my brother was a big-time baseball player, and I don't know, I think, I played kind of everything growing up when I was little, and I think baseball was kind of my brother's thing, and I wanted to do something different, and kind of always liked, the physical aspect of football. Watching football, I thought, all the players were super cool and everything like that, and, I just kind of wanted to be like them. And then kind of as you mature and get older, kind of get more involved in the game aspect of it, of what it takes to be good and everything like that, and you just kind of fall in love with the process, I guess, is a good way to put it.
Absolutely. You mentioned your brother. On a different podcast that I watched, just studying up, you talk about wearing number 12 because of your brother.
Yeah.
Is it the same brother?
Yeah. I
Okay.
have one brother.
If you can, talk a little bit about the significance of wearing your brother's number and his impact on you and your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, my brother's a big-time baseball player, and I remember kind of talking about my parents as well. My parents kind of, as I said, made it very clear that we're going to play sports. Sports was a big thing in my household and everything like that, but they also made it very clear that if we're going to play sports, we're going to put a lot of work into them.
Yes.
So I just kind of remember being little, and my brother was good at baseball, and I remember kind of going with my dad and my brother, and my grandpa would come with us too, actually. And we'd be driving south all the time, Georgia, Florida, the Carolinas, just so my brother could go to these showcases and stuff like that. And that was a big part of my growing up process and seeing the work and time my brother put into it, not just traveling, but also, baseball is a very repetitious game, so he's in the cages every day. On top of that, he's working out every day. And, I was brought along. My mom was working. It'd be me and my dad, my brother, and I just kind of tag along with them and be there, and I watched that process, and I saw when my brother hit high school, the success he had in baseball. Saw him get scholarship offers to go play baseball in college, and I remember I think I was in like a middle school about then, and I was small. I don't want to say I was unathletic, but didn't really develop yet, and all my friends would kind of tease and joke with me like, why aren't you as good as your brother at like sports and stuff like that? And not that I really cared, but I just thought it was super cool to have my brother be so good at a sport like that. And I wanted to be like my brother, not in baseball per se, but just
as a human.
I kind of wanted that path that he was on. So it was, I was proud that he was my brother, and I just wanted a little piece of that,
Right.
So just kind of, once my brother left for college, I kind of took on that role and tried to put everything I had into football and continued down that path.
Joe, what were you doing when you got the rookie minicamp call?
What was I doing? I was probably a little disappointed, honestly, but because that comes right after the draft.
Right.
Kind of was hoping to be signed after the draft, and signed as a free agent. So I don't know if you know how it works. You get so the draft goes, and then there's a bunch of free agent signings right after that. And if you're not drafted, you obviously want to get signed right away. And that was kind of, agent and talk and stuff like that. That was kind of the plan. Like, hey, maybe you get drafted in the 7th or something like that. But if not, you should be on a team after the draft.
Right.
So, which is really all I wanted. I just wanted the opportunity to be in a camp and show that I could play. And so kind of after the draft, things happen fast in the business of the NFL and stuff like
the
that.
Process.
And, my agent called, said a lot of teams backed out, and we're going to have to go to rookie mini camps. And that's, I don't want to sound ungrateful or anything, but that's something you don't want to hear kind of because...
But you haven't, and I'm sorry to cut you off, you haven't really talked about that discouragement. Like everybody, the allure and the narrative around the Buffalo Joe and the Hollywood story, the kid that was at the game tailgating in the Milano jersey, like for those who also played state championships in this area, for those who have that dream growing up of playing in the NFL and doing great things, that have walked the same Lancaster halls or walked some of the same Buffalo streets, like what is it like in the instance of not knowing if I'm gonna play again?
Yeah. I don't know how to put it in words exactly. I'd say, everyone goes through low points, I guess, in their life.
Right.
And, that's kind of how it feels. It kind of feels, especially after the draft. And I wouldn't say that was my first time in my life that I had that happen, especially just around football. But I remember that feeling. I kind of got that call, and my agent told me that. And, it kind of feels like, the human mind's kind of weird, a lot of bad thoughts start getting into your mind and everything like that. Like, negative stuff like.
More so, I guess. Can you answer? How'd you overcome it? Or I know you said you're a man of faith.
Yeah.
What did your support system bring you out of it? Was it just you and the work?
I think if you ask a lot of people that know me, I'm a very go with the flow kind of guy. So when I was told that, it was okay. Well, that's the next thing that I got to do. Like the rookie mini camp invites. I'm gonna go do that. See how it turns out. I didn't really have a plan. If football didn't work out, I didn't know what I was gonna do, to be honest.
That was one of my questions. If not football, then what?
Yeah. And people still ask me that, like, when you're done with football, what are you going to do? And I still don't 100% know, to be honest. And so that was the next thing to do. There was really nothing else to work for. I guess that's something that I am grateful for, that, like, along the journey, there has always been an opportunity, whether it's small or big, there's still been one, which not everyone has that, I guess, is sometimes the opportunity gets cut off. And I guess the opportunities that I have had have led me to where I am, so I'm grateful for that. And
that's actually a perfect segue when we talk about opportunity, but we'll get back to that. How's your experience been in Room 40 so far?
It's been great. Everyone's around here. A lot of cameras, though. A lot of cameras checking me out, right?
Would you recommend it to family and friends?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of the Bills players are in here a lot of time and rent this place out. So. Yeah.
Absolutely. Talking about opportunity, we know that you're a guy that started out at Lancaster, went to Bryant, All-American, transferred from Bryant to UB. What is the key to transitions and smooth transitions? Big leaps like how you have. How do you transition?
Yeah. I remember kind of going into Bryant. That's my first time away from home, and you're around a lot of different people from different areas, and I think that's something I learned kind of my first year being there. You have people all over the country from different walks of life, which is something great about football, because from Bryant to UB to on the Bills, I mean, you meet so many people from different paths.
On the Bills?
Yeah, just all different paths of life. It's crazy. So, but yeah, that transition is easier for some and harder for others. I'll definitely say that. Some people have a hard time adjusting when it comes to going into college and everything like that, being in a new environment, new system, new people. And I would say for me personally, it was not something that was huge, like a huge
focal point.
Yeah, focal point. And I was just focused on ball, especially, we go there early for camp and everything like that before the students and everything. And, like I said, I just try to be myself, and hopefully people find me genuine.
Right.
And, you're always closer with some guys than others, and you kind of find your little group that, kind of become your best friends and everything like
Absolutely.
that. And, but I'm friends with everyone too, so it's not that I'm not friends with everyone. But
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask some legend in the moment questions. This is a podcast that's sponsored mainly by a nonprofit, Legends in the Making. Let me see. What are some things that you're passionate about outside of sports? I haven't really heard you talk about it.
Outside of sports. I mentioned my faith, so faith is huge to me. Come from a very faith-filled family. Some that, Sunday go to church, especially on the off-season weekends.
Right.
Make sure we hit that every week. And kind of some of my hobbies, though, like personally, I'm a big anime fan, so I watch a lot of anime. I'm a big I guess it has to do with sports, but I'm a big like card collector. So I collect cards and stuff like that. That's kind of like most of my free time that I hop on the game from time to time to play with my boys. Not as much actually, since these past couple of years I used to be really into gaming, but not as much. Kind of.
What did you mainly play?
I played kind of a little bit of everything, but I liked RPGs kind of stuff, Elden Ring and stuff like that. But I also play COD and Fortnite with my boys and stuff like that. So,
what do you think about the trajectory of college sports with NIL?
I have I think it's crazy right now. I don't know if I'm the right guy to talk about that because I was kind of at the end of it. But
if you have any perspective, if not, we can move on.
Yeah, I really don't know. I think it's crazy. I don't know how they're going to manage it in the future. I don't know if they're going to manage it. I don't know if it's just going to be free. But I don't have a ton of knowledge on it, so I don't think I could speak on it specifically.
Understood. So take our viewers to Joe Andressen at Bryant, second year. You just either on dorm or at your apartment. Do you dream of this level of stardom? Like we got the opening scene of Hard Knocks. You got you on there catching a pick. You're from Buffalo, essentially, playing on the Bills. Like, did you ever dream of it being this, at this magnitude? I guess is the right question.
So it's kind of funny. Playing football and stuff like that. I remember people in, especially I guess kind of when I started doing good in college and stuff like that. People would always say
don't forget about me.
Yeah, kind of stuff like that, little things, or you're gonna be famous, you're gonna play in the NFL, and stuff like that, blah blah blah. But I'd always tell them at that time, I'd be I'm at Bryant, I'm not gonna be a first round pick or anything. How many backup linebackers or even starting linebackers, for the average fan, do you know on this random team? And they're oh, that's a good point. I'm just because you're in the NFL doesn't mean you're necessarily famous per se. Not that I'm famous, context-wise,
Man, you famous. We're Buffalo Joe right now and win.
But I guess my point is, it's kind of funny. I used to tell people that, if I make it to the NFL, I'm not gonna be famous, I'm gonna be a linebacker, maybe a special team or whatever it is, and you don't know that many people, but so
you special team.
So I think maybe I jinxed myself, reverse jinxed myself right there, and how it worked out and everything, and so that is kind of funny.
So Room 40 is all about bringing people together around food, family, football, and community. Why do you think those three things matter the most?
In Buffalo, I mean that stuff's huge. I think a lot of rookies too. We kind of we have a good rookie development system at the Bills and everything like that. And people always tell the rookies you don't understand. I guess the culture of Buffalo and stuff like that. And I think I don't think it takes very long for them. I think a lot of rookies probably Sunday night realized how different Buffalo is compared to other places. Yeah. So that's just kind of the Buffalo community in a whole, and I think Buffalo people embrace that.
Let's see, Joe. Excuse me. The tutelage of Terrell Bernard, if any. I know a lot of people ask you questions about Matt Milano, and you've answered that he's not really a camera guy, but talk about being around those vets and the impact that they've had.
Yeah, so the vets in the linebacker room, this year and last year, TB and Milano, obviously being staples, having vets is huge, just in my experience. So even going back to last year, we had Nick Morrow too, who played in the league for a long time. And so guys like Nick, TB, Milano, they're huge in growth process. A good wisdom, like the wisdom they have of the league, whether it's on the field or off the field, they teach you a lot. And kind of coming in this year, we added Shaq Thompson, and another guy that's played in the league 10 plus years.
Absolutely.
And so just having these guys in the room with you is great. And as you said, TB has helped me a lot. Being we both play Mike, and he's always helping me out, and I appreciate him a ton. And it's great to go out there and see him ball every week.
How comfortable are you, Joe, with leading the defense and actually calling plays and such like that? I know, being a middle linebacker, you're at the helm of the defense outside of the safety. So are you comfortable in that room, and do you think that adds to the contributing factor of why they trust you and why you actually get on the field?
Yeah, so especially in the Bills defense and any defense really, but the Mike linebacker, as you said, controls everything, and it is very a position that has to have trust within the coaches to put you out there. And it's something that I'm learning and trying to become even better at. As you mentioned, Terrell Bernard is a guy that is super awesome at doing that. So just trying to keep taking steps towards that and keep improving, and vocally and everything like that. Because I think that's something that maybe many people don't think about. It's as a middle linebacker, you have to play, and that's what most people see. But it's all the pre-snap stuff that you have to do.
Moving the D lineman around, making sure everybody's where they need to be.
And then making sure you're ready to play. So it's definitely a lot, and that's why we're in there every day trying to perfect that.
Being a local guy, what role has Lancaster High School played in the journey and into your professionalism, moving from Lancaster to Bryant to UB and now being in the league?
So my junior year is when Coach Rupp, the head coach at Lancaster, took over, and kind of really, I say, flip the program around. We have a ton of section championships, stuff like that, since he took over. And I think just what he's put in place there is the right way to do it. Summer workouts, stuff like that. I don't know. I can't speak on other schools, but I don't know if everyone's doing that stuff. And it gets you ready for the next level. Because I think when you think of a high school sport, you might not think of all the extra stuff you have to put in, especially a team sport such as football. So the way they're doing it over there, I think is the right way, and I think it kind of shows with the success they have and everything like that. So, but also just even before that, I think I grew up with a really close knit of guys in Lancaster. We all played ball since we were young together, and when we grew up, I think it's not that I don't want to say we knew we were gonna have that success when we were in high school and older and stuff like that. But
it's more. It's easier to project. You have that camaraderie. You grew up together with these guys.
Yeah, I think it was something that we were thinking about when we were little, watching Lancaster High School.
Now they see you on Sundays.
Yeah, so
that's an amazing thing. If you can, shout out a coach that has been important to your growth and development.
Yep, the biggest one in
doesn't necessarily have to be the league, just in your football tenure in a general sense.
I definitely say at Bryant, my linebacker coach, Coach Daniels, he is my guy, but he was the first person kind of in my football career. Bryant was my only offer out of high school. Not to say that I didn't think I could play football, or I thought I was good at football, but not. I guess a lot of uncertainty in my life.
He kind of helped put a battery in the back a little bit,
he told me that, I remember him coming. He came in my sophomore year, and I remember, just through training camp and stuff like that, he, told me, kind of put me, not put me in my place, but kind of made sure I was on top of things. He told me, you're every bit as good as anyone out here, and, you have what it takes to go further, and he kind of pushed me towards that. And so that was kind of the first time in my life that was I have what it takes to take this even further, and he pushed me towards that, and just he was crucial to my development and being where I am today.
Buffalo has always been an underdog city. How do you see that spirit reflected in the connection with the fans when it comes to places like Buffalo Wingnuts?
I think Buffalo embraces that role. I think the Bills embrace that role. I think everyone embraces that role that's around here. So it's definitely everyone's kind of got a chip on their shoulder, which is cool. Yeah.
Let me see. Excuse me. Who keeps you grounded? I know you're somebody that speaks highly and heavily about your faith, but your support system. I seen a video, I'm not sure if it's last year or this year, but it was a video with Jim Kelly, your parents, and some of your buddies.
Yeah.
When you really sit back and think about the people that you have in your corner when you look at it, how have they helped you along this journey?
Yeah, so I think the first people are definitely my parents. You know, kind of been there throughout the whole process and have helped me through it. And, you know, whether it's my mental or physical, whatever it was, you know, make sure that everything was in the right place for me to succeed. But right now, too, also my girlfriend, Fabi, she's kind of, we met at Bryant, and kind of since then, you know, I think my play's gone up since I met her. So, you know, I think things, you know, kind of.
Moving to Buffalo?
Yeah, she's actually going to Niagara now,
Nice.
getting her master's there.
She a cold weather person? Like,
No, she's from Miami, actually.
Look what you did.
So, but, you know, just kind of someone that reminds me that, you know, there's things that are bigger than ball, and, you know, kind of know that there's always going to be someone for you after, whether you play a great game or the worst game of your life, that, you know, she's always going to be there. Kind of helps the mental out and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which, if anything, what's one principle that Joe Andressen lives by? One value, one principle?
That's a deep question. One value, principle that I live by. I'll say my favorite scripture, just because that's something that I kind of think about a lot. Matthew 5:10. Blessed are those that are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And it's one of Jesus' teachings to his disciples on the Mount, and just kind of some that, you know, blessed are those that are persecuted for righteousness' sake. So kind of, as I said, virtue and character are important to me, and kind of reminds me, you know, whether things are going right or going wrong, you know, yeah, to act in the right way, do things the right way, work hard for what you want, because in the end, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, everything will work out. So that's something that, you know, kind of always keep in the back of my mind.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What's one piece of advice for some of the kids that's out there that were in your shoes?
Yep. I think the first piece would be, it's not easy, and it is not a uphill, steady, exponential line.
Day by day.
Yeah, it is a very bumpy road to get where you want. And I mean, I think we've talked about it. You know, there's always going to be those days or times, whatever it is, that, you know, are going to be low points, and to keep taking it, as you said, day by day, and just keep working for what you want, and, you know, slow and steady.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Do you have a linebacker idol?
Ooh, yeah. So Zach Thomas, he played for the. He was probably like my first one. Played for the Dolphins, and he was kind of my idol because he was like 5'10", 5'11", and he was white. And, you know, when I was little, I kind of looked at him and I'm like, I wasn't sure how tall I was going to be, so I was kind of projected to be like 5'10", you know, when the doctor. So I saw him and I was like, I could be him. So he was kind of like the first guy. He was like a tackling machine. I believe he's in the Hall of Fame, and yeah, that was the first guy that I was like, I want to be like him.
Absolutely. And then, Joe, we have one last question to wrap up. Wingnuts has become a place where families and friends are able to come and gather. What do you feel is the significance of gathering spaces like this?
I think us as human beings, we're social beings, and you know, kind of being able to collab and bring our thoughts together is one of the most important things that we can do. So gathering places are obviously the root of that, and coming together is something that we all need to do.
Absolutely. Well, that is our first episode of The Wing Trail. That's it for your host, Jamal Lewis. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Appreciate it.